So what does flexion and extension mean? So before we even start to talk about flexion and extension, I totally changed the subject, we have to understand neutral. Neutral is where your body stands in space when everything is nicely stacked. So when you're standing and your head is over your shoulders, shoulders over the rib cage over your hips, hips over your knees, knees over your ankles, that's neutral. An extension refers to typically when you're extending through the front of your body. So as you reach the chest up towards the ceiling and there's a bend in the back of the body, compression through the back, there's an extension of the front. What's really important to understand is where flexion happens, an extension also happens as well. So for example, I'm extending through the front of my chest, full extension, and there's a flexion, a curvature, a shortening of the muscles at the back of my body.
So this part is getting shorter as this gets longer.
The best way to demonstrate this is in an ab curl. But flexion and extensions happen in all your muscle joints. So this is a flexion of my elbow, okay? But it's also an extension of the muscles at the back of my body. This is an extension of my shoulder, okay? Fully extending. Am I hitting you?
I'm like, just standing.
Stand up. Okay, I'm gonna get down to the ground. I'm gonna show you how it is, how it's done.
Do it.
101. So all the way down. Point me up, Jesse. So from my neutral, nice long spine, everything is stacked. As I curl up into that flexion,
we even cue it, right? So as she curls up, we tell you all the time, bringing belly button to spine. She wants to draw that in, have it crunch up into a flexion. And as she does that, the back is rounding, we're pushing through.
It extends! Okay, so we can flip it over. Flexion and extension can happen at the back as well.
So now she's going to flex the back, so bringing the feet off the ground, then that upper body off the ground, and at the same time, there's an extension happening in that front line.
Okay? It's not as complicated as you make it seem. Flexion and extension are a really important part of knowing where your body moves in space. It happens with your knee joints. The knee joint is bent, it's flexed. If the joint moves past neutral, in the opposite direction, it's extended, okay? For your hips, for example, they're in a neutral position right now. If I send it back past the neutral, I'm extending through the front of my hips. Do you see that? Extending through the front of the hips. That muscle is fully extended. And at the back, it's flexed. So there's a flexion through the glutes, and there's an extension through the hips. Conversely, if I flex at the hips, bend the hips, I'm extending through the glutes. So what? Leave my toes alive!